Well, just sitting here getting ready for our client appreciation party on my back porch, screened in, because otherwise you're just going to get 9,000 mosquito bites right now. But anyway, I just kind of looking at what's going around in the market right now, and just looking at a lot of ton more inventory, and days on market seem to be increasing, and a lot less pendings, and lots of price reductions, and a lot of rampant overpricing in the market. So thought I'd spend some time talking today to the agents out there. And I guess if you're a seller and you want to kind of listen to our side of it, what we're doing pricing wise, and how to approach people right now, I just thought I would just dive in and come from contribution right here, since don't have anything else going on while I wait. So always finding something to do, some way to contribute. So we call this the Rise Realty Group price reduction system. It's something that we follow to a T through auto plans in our company, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you and you can glean one thing from it. If not, the price of the training is free. So you can always unhook from the live, right? All right. So we have entered definitely a shifting market, a normalizing market, a retracting market. Again, inventory's way up. It is just, it's kind of the opposite of COVID, right? And I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the things, like I said, that we're doing to be really successful in getting our listings sold. We're listing heavy brokerage. Of course, we love working with buyers as well, but most of the training that I do is trainings on listings, because whoever controls the listing inventory obviously controls the market. Okay, so we've again entered a shifting market, a normalizing market. I would dare say that we're, if you look at I guess absorption rate, yeah, maybe we're still in normal, but we're definitely not in a seller's market anymore. And we have to really right now as real estate agents dive deep into seller motivation. Okay. And if the computer's shaky, it's just because it's on my legs. And their why, right? And their willingness to reduce their price in a finite time intervals after the listing, okay? If there's no accepted offer, of course. We simply have to resist the urge to take an overpriced listing or take a listing at all without a written in price reduction if it's not under contract in a certain time. Okay, now that may shock some of you, but most of the stuff I do does anyways. So I would venture to guess more than half of our listing inventory is overpriced out there, okay? It's very evident on how many times it has to be reduced in order for it to go under contract, right? So we're on a 2-week price adjustment schedule, or at least an ask. Of course, we can't do that without the seller's permission. But that's the thing is you have to be proactive right now in providing the data to support the reduction. Our desire to list a home, and if I say anything today, you should listen to this. Our desire to list a home must not exceed the seller's willingness to sell the home. Yeah, everybody wants to go home and tell mama or papa or their partner that, hey, I took a listing, but did you take a listing or did you take an expired listing? That's the question. So again, we have to toe the line. We have to hold the line and be willing to walk away from the unmotivated or the unreasonable seller. I say that with all due respect, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about why. There's a chasm right now with what a buyer is feeling and what a seller is feeling. For example, a seller may not have heard that the market has changed and is decreasing. A buyer might think that the sky is falling and they can only they're not willing to step up and pay 6.75 to 7% on interest rates or whatever they are today. I haven't looked today. And they're just kind of gun shy. Am I going to get a better deal in 6 months? Am I going to get a better deal in a year? The buyers see the days on market increasing. They see us in Missoula County very close to 500, very close to in the mid threes down Ravalli County and beyond. Everywhere is inventory's up because it's just sitting there. And the reason why it's sitting there is because it's overpriced. It's not because there aren't buyers. Okay. Again, it's the opposite of the COVID market where it's going up, up, up. Now we're going down, down, down. That's for sure. I don't care what Zillow and all those people say. Look, when we run the number, every number and metric that we run is showing that these prices are headed down in most areas, okay? Less so under 500, of course, because everybody's jammed down into there and there's a lot less inventory in that level. But during COVID, people went up into that 7, 8, 900, a million, 1, 2. Those houses right now are there's a lot of them stacked in there and a lot more to choose from and very few sales in and around in that area, okay? So again, our job as agents is to be super honest and take saleable listings that sell. Not collect expired listings. Our job is to have hard and truthful conversations with our sellers. No bullshit. Okay, that is the truth. You cannot, if you know it's overpriced, do not take the listing. That is my advice to you. I mean, you can do business whatever way you want to do, but is that actually honest to the seller to inflate the price in order to take a listing? Whatever your motive might be there, to feel like you're in forward momentum, maybe that's one of the motives. To feel like you're accomplishing something when you're not. Remember, that history in the MLS, agents, is not, you can't delete it. It's there. It sits there for 6 months. That becomes a red herring in some cases, that listing, right? No buyer in the world comes along after 6 months and goes, oh my gosh, nobody else has bought this home in the last 6 months. This must be a smoking deal. Like, said no buyer ever, right? So just be real careful there and really do your research. Okay, as these, people said I was nuts last year, and I said there was going to be 450 residential homes for sale in Missoula County, and we're at 500 now or just under. I mean, I was off, yeah, but I was under, right? Not blowing a bubble there. So I can't remember the last time I saw inventory this high. So, anyways, we have to walk the fine line as agents between salesmanship and getting the signature, right? Being frank and honest about where we are. So when you're pre-qualifying, the motivation has to be a reason that they're moving that would compel them to list at the proper price. The proper price is X. X is the place where there's a bunch of showings and an offer or two. That's X. Any number over X just causes days on market to go up and inventory to stack up. Doesn't help you or anyone else, and more importantly, it does not help your client. So you got to be super honest with them for sure. I don't even know why I have to say that. But anyways, okay, so we have to make enough so hear this. You always hear me talking about 20 connects, and you always hear me talking about this and that online. The reason used to be we only had to talk to on our team 10 or 15 people per day in order to find a transaction or find someone that's willing to transact. Now we need to talk to 20 to 30 to find someone that's willing to transact. So you've got to make enough outbound calls or do enough outbound marketing. If you're not making outbound calls, your marketing is so expensive, it's almost unaffordable, right? So making outbound calls, you have a cell phone, you're paying the bill anyway. Why are we not talking to more people every single day? Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Hop on one of our morning trainings. I teach people what to say from 8:30 to 9:15 every morning. I don't care if you work with me or not. Come learn what to say. Couldn't care less if you're in another state or another area here or you hate me. Show up, learn something, help a client. Okay, then you have to make enough prospecting calls to compensate for the unmotivated, right? You have to make more talks in order to find someone who's super motivated. Truly, we need to speak to 30 to 50% more than we used to, okay? So we're going to get down kind of into the system. So just scrolling down on my Google Doc, sorry. So we got to tell, again, you have to, I'm going to say frank conversations probably 40 times today, okay? Are you reading me loud and clear when we have to have frank conversations? We cannot beat around the bush. Sellers do not want a text message. They want you to actually call them and speak to them and tell them why. A few thoughts before we dive in. If you don't have any listings, you can probably hang up right now or pick up the telephone and call and find one. I promise there's someone out there that will list today. They're just not going to call you, so you need to call them. If you don't have listings, you should not go home every day until you find one. Always a little sales training in my trainings, if you've ever noticed. Always trying to compel you to do just a little bit more. Imagine that. Price the listings right to start with. Know the market. Understand more sales and more happy people means a larger center or sphere of influence, both with buyers and sellers. And right, could not a seller turn also into a buyer? Right? Are you not the right agent for the job? Of course you are. Okay. Price the listings right to start with. Again, know the market, understand more sales, more happy people, larger sphere. Understand that we are high. Could you see how I read the same thing twice there? That's okay. Free training. Number 5, understand we are hired to have frank conversations. Okay, number 6, it's funny how in today's market how people do these tiny little price reductions of like $5,000. That's not even going to remotely move the needle. Just like, don't even do it. Stop telling your sellers, well, to go across all the sites is a price reduction. Yeah, and right above it, it says what the price was. Like, you think someone's not coming to that house because it's at $550 and you put it down to $545? Of course they're still coming there at $545. Purpose of the price reduction is to find the actual true number that causes enough showings and then an offer or two to come in or more. Okay? It's crazy. So you have to remember, when a buyer's agent is bringing a client to the house. So if there's any sellers listening, this is important to know too. They're going to be getting agent input. They're going to be looking at days at market. They're going to be looking at stale listings. A lot of people only look at older listings so that they can try to, quote unquote, throw a lowball offer in because they think there's some seller desperation, when what they don't realize is, if the seller wanted to reduce, unless their agent's being nuts and not asking them for a reduction because there's no traffic or activity, which is sometimes the case, right? The path of least resistance. That's the other thing. Quit avoiding the path of least resistance in every aspect of your life. Give me a break. Just like, go do it today so it doesn't bother you for the next 12 months. Now, there's a little life training in the sales training. So don't think a seller. So the reason, like, if they're too high, a buyer doesn't walk in there thinking that that a seller will take $200,000 off their house. Look, if there's no showings or activities and there's been nothing there, maybe you're 10 or 20% off. Okay. So the agent input, stale listings they're looking at, they don't think a seller would take their offer if it's priced too high. And then there's better options out there, more square footage, right? More square footage out there. More acreage for the same price, bigger house, newer house, more updated house, less deferred maintenance house for the same price. Number 7, come up with good content weekly to go over with the sellers. Okay. And my battery's running low, so we'll see how much, been out here working all morning. We'll see how far this will go, but I'm going to post a link below and you can just get this whole training and just download it. So come up with good content weekly to go over with the sellers. Set up a market report, send them everything that is sold instead of theirs, send them other things that have come up on the market that might be better priced. Make sure you're sending them good content every single week. So we have something called a market report inside of our CRM, and it sends them all the data. Also, we use Showing Time, and Showing Time sends them all the feedback automatically. I know some of you hate Showing Time, but our sellers love it, which is all I care about. In the past 4 or 5 years, egos have been off the charts. Off the charts. Don't even get me going. It's time to replace ego and fear with skills and confidence and frank conversations. Put a plan or system in action and stick to it. So what are the things that we're doing differently in this market, different than other markets that we've been through, most specifically the COVID market, right? Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm so great. I got 50 showings and 93 offers. So didn't we. Okay. That wasn't anything you were doing. That was the market. Sorry to tell you that. You can kind of stroke your ego off to the side there. Number 1, setting realistic expectations at the listing appointment. You cannot sell yourself and how damn good you are at the listing appointment and then not perform after the fact or disappear for a month in your first call to the sellers for a price reduction without sending them any valuable data ahead of time, as far as showing feedback, number of showings, again, that market data on the market report. The inventory level now versus the inventory level back then or when they started, the days on market now versus the days on market when they started, average price adjustment now that's happened in their area versus where they're at. The fact that affordability is at an all-time low in Montana, rates are up, buyer confidence is down. Buyers are feeling like if they wait, they can get a better deal, that if they're not receiving 3 to 5 showings a week, which is our metric, typically under 900K, 800K, and getting an offer within a week or two, they're likely overpriced. Okay, these are just some of the conversations we're having with sellers. The longer it sits on the market, the less you will likely receive. This is historical data that can be looked up. Hoping and waiting is not in our marketing plan, frankly. Well, this one person from California might come and just magically pay me twice what my house is worth. Come on, right? I mean, is that in anyone's marketing plan? If so, punch your, or you take your palm and whap it off your forehead. Now, and always while I'm there, I'm going to say, we're on a 2-week price. You do want to sell your house, correct? Great. What was the reason you were selling again? Great. You do want to be there by when? Great. Okay, fantastic. So every 2 weeks, to make sure that we help you achieve your goals, if we're having no showings and no offers, I'm going to recommend a price reduction, at which time I'll let you know what it is. Tell them it's coming, or write it into additional provisions on the listing contract, okay? The price reduction. If there are no offers, we're reduced by 5%. Reduction should be done in percent, not dollars amount. Obviously, you don't need to do something that's $5.32 and 53 cents, and don't be crazy like that. So how does communication to sellers change through a market shift? I communicate once per week, either with a video link, so I upload what's going on. Sometimes I record the data from inside a matrix and I send that out to my sellers. It's really effective because people don't always believe what you're saying, but if they're actually looking at the actual statistics there of what we pull up there, and that's recorded and sent to them, then it's true because they're looking at it in real time. Number B, or letter B, I show the actual MLS, like I just said. Number C, they cannot argue with it, although some will. I mean, it's just a fact. People bought their house because they like their house, right? So they're emotionally attached to it. As is a buyer coming in there is going to be emotionally attached to it, right? But one thing I tell all my sellers right now, and I don't know if I already said it, but whatever. Again, free training, you can always delete. Is that I'm like, no buyer is going to fund your next while foregoing their now. So in other words, they're not going to pay you an extra $200,000 just because you need it to go buy this house in, say, Florida, right? They're not going to overpay you $200K to help you with your dreams while they crush theirs. So it's just it adds a little humor to it, which is always important. And I get laughed at a lot, so that's okay. But the fact of the matter is that literally, what they want and what X is actually always two different things, if we're honest. And it doesn't matter what they want, it matters what X is. X is the number where buyers actually come and write an offer at, right? So a little more, and then I'll be done because I know you're super bored already. You have to continuously remind them of why they're moving and the original conversation at the listing presentation, and recall that to help them understand it's important that they move now. If this market's going to go down another 5 or 10%, which it could, because I think the inventory is going to go up even higher. I hope it doesn't, but I think it will. That's my opinion, of course. I don't have a crystal ball, right? But I've been right a lot. My business partner once said, I've been right about one out of 5 recessions. So we've had a little false start, COVID, whatever that was. And then, now things have really slowed down. The other thing too is, use some of the softwares. Like I said, our market reports, we use Area Pro to send some really good AI data to them, but you can make one yourself. It takes 5 or 10 minutes and your sellers deserve it. The last point I have is to finding the X. Do you want to lose a little money now or a lot down the road?